Hello. The title of this presentation is Dyslexia, Disability, or Brain Difference. The reason I call it dyslexia, disability, or brain difference is because I believe that we too reflexively label dyslexia simply as a disability, focusing on its negative aspects, whereas in truth, dyslexia is a brain difference that contains strengths as well as weaknesses, as we'll see in this presentation. Now, what is dyslexia? Dyslexia is a difference in the brain that makes it difficult for a person to use specific language skills. It usually especially affects reading, but it can also affect a student's oral language skills. It's very common, with more than 3 million cases diagnosed in the United States each year. Now, dyslexia is not a condition that affects intelligence negatively. People with dyslexia often have gifts and special talents, as we will soon see. So as I mentioned before, many people understand now that dyslexia is a brain difference with its own built-in strengths. Some say that the condition is linked to an ability to make connections in seemingly disparate fields, seeing where they can connect that leads to a propensity to succeed in fields like science and business. Many gifted people, including geniuses and major business leaders, have had dyslexia, including Albert Einstein, Thomas Edison, Tom Cruise, Steve Jobs, Richard Branson, Charles Schwab, Agatha Christie, Henry Ford, Walt Disney, and Whoopi Goldberg. But sadly, it appears that many people have not been able to overcome the particular challenges that are associated with dyslexia. While it affects 3 to 6% of school-aged children, it sadly affects 40 to 70% of those who participate in prison programs, and 60% or more of those in adult literacy programs, and 40 to 60% of those in basic education programs, adult education programs. Now, contrary to popular belief, including my own popular belief before I did this research report, dyslexics have normal vision. It is a misnomer. It says at Erland.com, it's a misnomer that the telltale sign of dyslexia is seeing words backwards. Instead, it is an inability to connect the letters and words they see on the page with their sounds and meanings. Dyslexia is often confused with several other conditions, including Erland syndrome, dyslexia, I'm sorry, it shouldn't say dyslexia, it should say dyscalculia, dysgraphia, and ADHD. A look at these other conditions may be helpful. For example, dyslexia, a language-based disorder which affects people's understanding of words on the page, is often confused with Erland syndrome, which is a perceptual processing disorder which relates to how the brain processes visual data it gets from the eyes. So with Erland syndrome, people with Erland syndrome have difficulty reading not because their brains have difficulty connecting the letters they see with the sounds those letters make, but people with Erland syndrome see distortions on the printed page, or because the white background or glare hurts their eyes, gives them a headache, or makes them fall asleep when trying to read. So that's Erland syndrome, which is more of a visual disorder. It's not dyslexia. As a side note, Erland, the visual processing disorder, affects a surprisingly large percentage of the population, 12 to 14% of the population, or about 1 out of every 7 or 8 people. It also affects a very high percentage of people with disabilities. 46% of individuals with reading and learning difficulties have Erland syndrome, it's been estimated. 33% of individuals with ADHD, 33% of individuals with autism, and 55% of individuals with head injuries, concussion, or whiplash. Now, dyslexia is often confused with dyscalculia, which affects the ability to understand math and numbers, and dysgraphia, which refers to a child's difficulty in controlling a writing implement, such as a pencil, so the desired markings can be made on paper. ADHD can also affect reading comprehension and writing skills. The earliest signs of dyslexia may appear around 1 to 2 years of age, but the condition is often not diagnosed until a child reaches 6 or 7 years of age. Now, classroom teachers are not in a position to diagnose if a child has dyslexia. There is no single test that can diagnose dyslexia fully. One clue that may indicate the need for further investigation is if there is a significant discrepancy between the child's intelligence level and the lower level of performance in academic tasks. For example, the child is not performing up to their intellectual abilities. Dyslexia often may go undetected in early grades. Children with the condition may become repeatedly frustrated by their difficulty in learning to read. As a result, the child may develop other symptoms or issues which may mask the underlying dyslexia, such as oppositional defiant behavior or depression and lack of motivation. To diagnose dyslexia, a number of factors are considered, including the child's development, educational issues, and medical history, the child's home life, vision, hearing, and brain tests, psychological testing, testing reading and other academic skills. Signs of dyslexia may include trouble learning rhymes or songs, difficulty recognizing the difference between similar sounds or segmenting words, difficulty copying written words from the board or a book, slow learning of new vocabulary words, difficulty in sports, difficulty with distinguishing between left and right. With dyslexic people, often hand dominance has not yet been established. Problems remembering or naming letters, numbers, and colors, and the inability to sound out the pronunciation of an unfamiliar word. Now, older children may confuse words that sound alike, such as saying tornado for volcano and substituting lotion for ocean. Older children with dyslexia may have trouble remembering dates, names, telephone numbers, and random lists, and they may struggle to finish tests on time. At the same time, young people with dyslexia may show certain strengths, such as excellent comprehension of stories that were read aloud to the student, a talent for building models, abnormally high levels of curiosity, imagination, conceptualization, and abstraction, and the ability to get the big picture, as we saw with the geniuses such as Albert Einstein and Walt Disney. Now, a classroom teacher may detect early signs and suggest further assessment by a psychologist or other healthcare professional in order to actually diagnose the condition. Now, there are several groups I found that help with dyslexia. There's the International Dyslexia Organization, whose mission is to create a future for all individuals who struggle with dyslexia and other related reading differences so that they may have richer, more robust lives and access to the tools and resources they need. They're based in Baltimore, Maryland, and have branches in 34 states, Washington, D.C., and Canada. There's also the Dyslexia Foundation, which supports research, outreach services, and literacy programs. They're located in Massachusetts. There's Learning Ally, previously named Recording for the Blind and Dyslexic. They provide a library of audiobooks for people with visual impairment, dyslexia, or other disabilities. They're located in Princeton, New Jersey. There's Children's Dyslexia Centers, a fascinating group that provides free tutorial services for children with dyslexia. They are a charity organization with more than 40 centers in 13 different states, but they're based in Massachusetts. And finally, there's Dyslexic Advantage, a 501c3 nonprofit organization whose mission is to promote positive identity for people with dyslexia. Their vision is a world where dyslexic individuals are known for their strengths, not their weaknesses. Thank you so much for watching this presentation. I enjoyed putting it together. Have a wonderful day.